thereof, even of gold, of blue, purple, scarlet, and fine twined linen. And thou shalt take 2 onyx stones, and engrave on them the names of the children of Israel. I do have that somewhere here. The onyx stones. They actually engravers, and they had engravers in those days. And that may not be in this chapter. I'm going to show you how they made all the other stuff. No, it's not in this chapter. There's another chapter we get to those onyx stones. But they were engraved. The names were cut on them. And we get into the reasons of all of that too.
Weren't they cut onto the 12 stones as well?
Excuse me?
Weren't they cut on the tribes, the 12 stones too? They were engraved?
Each stone, yes, had an engraving on it. As a matter of fact, since you asked the question, you go to that chapter, you can see them. It's in chapter 7. There is a makeup, a mock-up. Some of it they don't really know, but they only best guess. And as you can see there, they have cut the names on the stones. Chapter 7, on the very first part. You see it, there they are. And if you turn a couple pages, you'll see a real close-up of how the whole thing laid in those onyx stones on top. And it was very, very hard to, like I said, some of it they only guessed because they didn't know for sure exactly what the stones looked like. If you go to the back of that last chapter, you'll see the makeup of the onyx stones and the names on it. And the names are different on the onyx stones than on the breastplate. There's a reason for it. Because on the onyx stones, on the top, one was Joseph. Did Joseph have a tribe? No, he didn't. But he had 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, and they were on the breastplate. So God gave Joseph a double portion. He gave him 2 sons, which became 2 tribes. Even though Joseph himself didn't have a tribe. And why didn't Joseph have a tribe? Because he was a slave in Egypt, had been made a slave and go to Egypt, and there he became ruler over Egypt. But he had 2 sons, and 2 sons became 2 tribes. So God gave him a double portion in Israel. That's how it was done. That's why he's on here. And there's also another one on here. It doesn't have isn't on the other side. And I believe it's Levi, if I'm not mistaken. See it? Yeah, that's Levi. I think Levi's not on the stones. Okay, yeah, that's right. That's right. Levi's not. See, the first row of stones, you had Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. Second row, you had Reuben, Simeon, and Gad. Third row, Ephraim and Manasseh. There's Joseph's 2 sons. Benjamin, then Dan, Asher, and Naphtali. But Levi wasn't in the tribes. Wasn't one of the 12 tribes. Because they were set aside to be the priest tribes. Anyhow, well, so there you see what they look like, a bit what they look like. And yeah, they were engraved. And however that was done.
I thought we studied that in the last chapter, the tribe of Levi.
Right.
Near the
But
tabernacle.
they're not listed on the breastplate. Doesn't mean they're not a tribe, they're just not listed on the breastplate of the 12 tribes. Yeah, Levi does have a portion in matter of fact, in the millennial section, they have a whole huge section for Levi, because Levi still ministers to the temple. They're the guys that picked everything and put it away and all that stuff, yeah.
Were they Egyptian too?
No, Levi wasn't.
Aaron was.
No, Aaron wasn't either.
Well, Aaron's mom married her nephew. That's what you have written here.
Where?
Very.
Aaron's mom.
Aaron's mom married her nephew, and they had Aaron.
really? Well, yeah, somewhere it is. That's a good question. I got it from history.
Yeah, the very first page, chapter
First
1.
page, huh?
His mother, something, the Egyptian-born daughter of Levi, married her nephew.
Huh, well, daughter, you know. Okay, Aaron Crusoe.
So it's
Where, what page?
very first paragraph, very first chapter.
First, oh, no, I'm not on the wrong page. There we go. Yeah, Aaron, the Bible does not say anything about Aaron's birth, his earthly life, or his upbringing. It states that he married Elizabeth, daughter of Amminadab, of the
No,
tribe.
no, no, the paragraph above that one.
Oh, Aaron the high priest was the founder and ancestor of Israel priesthood. His mother, yeah, Jochebed, remember, that was Moses' mother too.
Right, it says here the Egyptian-born daughter of Levi married her nephew.
The Egyptian-born daughter.
Kind of ancestral, isn't it? Can't marry your nephew. Kind of gross.
Yeah, something,
I was reading that earlier. I was like, wait a minute.
something don't sound right, do. Because
So
now
it's
she was,
ancestral.
so
Moses was born in an ancestral.
and his father's name was,
Unless this isn't true.
well,
Unless that info is not correct.
I have to go back and look at it, and look at the information I have. Because in those times, now I don't know about then, but the tribes didn't marry outside their tribe. They married within their tribe. Tribes of Israel did not, they were, most of them were bound to marry within the tribe. Of course, they were huge tribes, thousands, so, but this here, I don't know. Kohath, yeah, well, we know, and Kohath was what? He was a priest, and if I remember, his father was part of that priesthood, you know, the Levite type priesthood. Yeah, because I got that information. I'll back and check it online again.
Yeah, because if that's true,
Well, wait a minute,
then
wait a
there's
minute.
Egyptian blood flowing
No,
through
wait a
there.
minute, no. It was, okay. I wonder if that meant she was born in Egypt. Because she's daughter of Levi. Okay, Levi was Jewish tribe, of course. And Amram was the son of Kohath. So I have to check that. Maybe it's the way I wrote it too, because she was a daughter of Levi. Amram was a daughter of Kohath, probably born in Egypt. Because it's, remember, they were there 400 years. That's probably my mistake. It's a good point to check out. Yeah. She probably was born in Egypt because she's a daughter of Levi.
But still married her nephew.
And married her well, again, that's what it said, so. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. They didn't stay within the tribes. I think Kohath was also a ultimately Levite tribe. Yeah, well, there you go. But that's probably what it was, because she's a daughter of Levi, probably born in Egypt. See, I probably wrote it wrong. I'll go ahead and check that out. Because I know, because they were from Levi, and that meant Moses was a Levite, unlikely. His tribe was. And he he wasn't Egyptian born. I don't think she was. I think she was born in Egypt. There we go. Huh. That's the way I wrote it wrong. I'm gonna look that up now. Okay, back to this. Verse 8, and the carriage girdle of the ephod, which is upon it, shall be the same according to the work thereof, gold, blue, purple, scarlet, fine fine linen. And the onyx stones, and thou shalt take 2 onyx stones, and engrave on them the names of the children of Israel. 6 of their names on one stone, and 6 names on the rest, on the other stone, according to their birth. While the work of an engraver in stone, like the engravings of a signet, shalt thou engrave the 2 stones, the names of the children of Israel. Thou shalt make them to be set in ouches of gold. And those ouches are, it shows back here. The ouches, ouch. Ouch is not what we think. It's a setting. It's a setting thing. Well, it doesn't show it that well. Setting. I'm trying to see if the picture shows it better. They're like frames of gold. Well, you can see all the on this page in that chapter 7. You see every stone set within a little gold, to call ouch or setting. It was like that. Something similar to that. And gold things around. There we go. Ouches. Thou shalt put the 2 stones upon the shoulder of the ephod for stones of memorial unto the children of Israel, and Aaron shall bear their names before the Lord upon his 2 shoulders for a memorial. Thou shalt make ouches, settings for gems of gold. That's what it is, ouches, settings for gems of gold. The 2 chains of pure gold at the ends of wreathen work shalt thou make them, and fasten the wreathen chains to the ouches. Now that is, back to that there, and you'll see it. If you go, the ouches. And they're not showing it very clear. Let's put it down. I was hoping for a better thing. See, I drew it out there with they're set with rings of gold. If you go to that one page with a picture of the man standing in chapter 7 with the breastplate, the blue thing, and you can see the rings, the blue, all that stuff. You see about the cords, the gold chains, and the gold rings. So it was all fastened. That's a very good likeness, what they did. Very, very good. And it shows you how they made the whole thing, how they put the whole thing on. It's made quite uniquely. Thou shalt make a breastplate of judgment with cunning work. After the work of the ephod, thou shalt make it gold, blue, purple, and scarlet. Fine twined linen shalt thou make it. 4 square it shall be doubled. A span shall be the length thereof. The span shall be the breadth thereof. So you go back to that chapter, which actually shows that real good. Actually, that picture should be over here almost. There you see it, the whole thing. Ephod with a breastplate, ephod without the breastplate, and ephod with the belt open. So the belt is open. That's the way it shows that. Thou shalt set in it settings of stone, even 4 rows of stones. The first row shall be a sardius, a topaz, and a carbuncle. This shall be the first row. Now, if you go to this chapter I have here, if you go to the next chapter, chapter 8, the best I could find of those stones, what they look like. And It's close, that's all I can tell you, they're close. Some of them, they said they don't really know for sure. But as you'll see, the first row would be the sardust, topaz, and carbuncle. That'd be on, I believe it's the one on the right side there, let me see. Those are the three stones. The second row would be the emerald, sapphire, and diamond. Oh, that's right, yeah, so you see, there you go. Yeah, first row, second row, I got it backwards. There's the diamond, sapphire, and the emerald, you see it. There we go. So the first one was above that. That was the sardust, topaz, and carbuncle, yeah. That's kind of the best I could get, is what they said it was the best we could get. Then the third row was Lugari, agate, and amethyst. And there you see, there it is over there. It's kind of a purple stone. The fourth row was beryl, onyx, and jasper. And again, the onyx stone there has got things in it. That's the way it was. So that's what they look like, basically look like. And then you go back to the other chapter, and you see, then you see the stones laid out in the breastplate in chapter 7. You actually see them how they're laid out there. And each one represents one of the tribes. And the stones shall be in the name shield of Israel, 12 according to their names, like the engravings of the signet. Every one of his names shall be according to the 12 tribes. And thou shalt make upon the breastplate chains at the ends of wreaths work of gold. See, and there you see the wreaths of gold on that front page one in chapter 7. And thou shalt make upon the breastplate 2 rings of gold, and shalt put the 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. And if you turn the page back again, you see those rings. There's a guy standing there. You see those rings they're talking about. Rings of gold. Next page. Thou shalt put the 2 wreath chains of gold to the 2 rings which are on the ends of the breastplate. And there you see the gold chains and how they're all hooked. That's what it's telling us there. The other 2 ends of the wreath chains thou shalt fasten to the ouches, that would be up on top there, and put them in the shoulder pieces of the ephod before it. And there's places up there to hook to those ouches. Thou shalt make 2 rings of gold, shalt put them in the 2 ends of the breastplate of the border thereof, which is in the side of the ephod inward, and then you see those 2 down at the bottom inward. You see them now, they do have that book. Thou shalt bind the breastplate with 2 rings thereof, with the rings of the ephod, with a lace of blue. See, there's your lace of blue. That's how they tied them together. Lace of blue. And may be above the curious girdle of the ephod, and its breastplate may not be loosed from the ephod. That's that ribbon, or that thread, or twine of blue. That's how they tied it together. And Aaron shall bear the name shield of Israel in the breastplate of judgment upon his heart, when he goeth into the holy place for a memorial before the Lord continually. And thou shalt put in the breastplate of judgment Urim and Thummim. Now, if you go back and you see that Urim and Thummim there, and that's what they believed they were. 2 stones, 1 white, 1 black. And it's Urim and Thummim. That's how they pronounce it. And the Urim was lights of the oracle bells, brilliancy of the figure of the high priest's breastplate. And they were inside, there was like a pocket in here, and they put those in there. And the Thummim, that is one of the ephtlets of the object of the high priest breast. Again, there it was. One stands for light, one stands for truth. I am the truth. And of course, shall be upon Aaron's heart. And thou shalt make a robe of the ephod all blue. See, the Urim and Thummim too, when they pray and they didn't know what the answer was, he'd reach in. This is what they say he would do. We didn't know for sure. He'd pray, reach in, whatever stone he pulled out was the answer. God would have him, black, I don't know if you ever, you probably never around, but a lot of times they used to, years ago, they would have a voting thing, and you'd have white stones or white marbles and black marbles. And if you were going to vote, you put in white was yes, black was no. And they do that, in voting things. And, I've been in certain circumstances where that was done, and you had to you put in. And no one knew who did what, but when they counted them all out, if there was more white than black, then that was good. If there was more black than white, that was the other side. So, and then nobody really had to say how they voted. That's the way it was done. Thou shalt be, there shall be a hole in the top of it, in the midst thereof. It shall have a binding of woven work round about the whole of it, as it were the whole of a habergeon, that it would not be rent. And that's, as you see, you go back to that picture, and in the top of that there was a place for your head to go through, a hole, and it was embroidered around there so it wouldn't tear out. That's what they're talking about. And beneath, on the hem of it, shall be pomegranates of blue, purple, and of scarlet round about the hem thereof, and bells of gold round about them. And I guess I'm going to look at the wrong piece here. Wrong piece. Oh well, yeah, that's another chapter for that. It's talking about the blue robe, actually, because that has the bells and pomegranates on it. And that had the whole piece. It was the blue robe. And bells and pomegranates, and bells and pomegranates on the robe. And it shall be upon Aaron to minister, and his sound shall be heard when he goeth in unto the holy place before the Lord, when he cometh out, that he die not. So in other words, that's what they were put there for. God had them put there. So if they didn't hear the bells ringing, the priest was a goner. He made a mistake. And if thou shalt make a plate of pure gold, and grave upon it, like the gravings of the signet, holiness unto the Lord. That's that bonnet. And you should probably clear up on that one. But there it was a gold piece, solid gold. It said holiness unto the Lord. And thou shalt put it upon the blue lace, and that it might be the mitre, upon the mitre, upon the forefront of the mitre, it shall be. So in other words, it was tied in the back with a blue piece to hold it. And it shall be upon Aaron's forehead, and that Aaron may bear the iniquity of the holy things, which the children of Israel shall hallow in all their holy gifts, and it shall be always be upon his forehead, that they may be acceptable before the Lord. And thou shalt embroider the coat of fine linen, thou shalt make the mitre of fine linen, and thou shalt make the girdle of needlework. And for Aaron's sons thou shalt make coats, and they shall make for them girdles, bonnets, thou shalt make for them for glory and for beauty. And there you see the two pictures down there. You see the high priest, and you see his sons. What his sons be wearing is talking about there. Thou shalt put them upon Aaron thy brother and his sons with him, and shall anoint them and consecrate them and sanctify them, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office. Thou shalt make them linen breeches to cover their nakedness, for the loins even unto the thighs they shall reach. And if you go to the very last chapter, this is what he's talking about, just what you think it is. It's underwear. It's very, very last. There's a picture of what they would look like. Like your boxer shorts today. There it is. That's what they had to wear. They had to wear underwear. On the very last chapter, see the picture there of breeches. That's what it talks about. And they shall be upon Aaron and his sons when they come into the tabernacle of the congregation, and when they go near unto the altar to minister in the holy place, that they bear not iniquity and die. It shall be a statute forever unto him and to his seed after him. So if they didn't dress right, and they went in there, they were struck dead. The angels struck them down and didn't have their underwear on. They were in big trouble. Big trouble. So there's three categories of priest garments. There are three separate categories for priestly garments. The high priest uniform, as you see over there, which he wears all year round. These consist of 8 garments called the golden garments. So his garments are called the golden garments because they're golden. The cloth worn by the high priest on the Day of Atonement, these are 4 garments called the white garments. The white garments. The uniform of ordinary priests consisting of 4 garments. Turn the page. And we'll go over these garments. The golden garments, 8 garments worn by the high priest all year round as follows: the ephod, the breastplate, the robe, the tunic, the turban, the belt, the crown, and the pants. These are the garments described in these verses, and these are the garments which they shall make: a breastplate, an ephod, a robe, a tunic of checkered pattern. See, there's your checkered pattern. A turban and a belt. And they shall make the sacred garments for your brother Aaron and his sons to serve me. And you shall make a crown of pure gold, David, 36, and make them linen parts, same thing. So there you have it. That's what he had to wear. The white garments, with regard to the high priest's service on the Day of Atonement, the Bible states, he shall put on the holy linen tunic, and he shall have the linen pants upon his flesh, and he shall be girded with a linen belt. You see the priest there, linen belt, and with a linen turban he shall be attired. It's all made up there. There he is. The 4 garments worn by the high priest on the Day of Atonement are the tunic, the pants, the turban, and the belt. These garments are made of white flax. Hence their designation, the white garments. They must be worn as mentioned above, and each thread must be 6 ply. This is quite detailed. 6 ply, woven from 6 individual strands of fabric. The high priest had 2 tunics which he wore on the Day of Atonement. One he wore in the morning, and the other in the evening. After the conclusion of the Day of Atonement, he will never again wear the white garments in which he officiated on this day. They are hidden in the place where he removes them, as the verse indicates. And Aaron shall come into the tent of meeting, and he shall take off the linen garments, and he shall put on when he went into the holy place, and he shall leave them there. So there's a whole system that God laid out of what you wear, when you wear it, and how you wear it. The uniform of the ordinary priest. The ordinary priests wore 4 garments all year round. These are the same as the white garments. They're basically the same. Worn by the high priest in the Day of Atonement: tunic, pants, hat, and belt, basically. Referring to these priests, this verse states, and for Aaron's sons you shall make of them tunics, you shall make of them belts, you shall make for them hats, and for them linen pants. And there's the Exodus 28:40-42. These garments are to be made from flax, and they too must be created from threads consisting of 6 individual strands. Materials, the 5 components of the garments. 5 different materials used to create the garments. Gold, attachlet of blue, sky blue wool, dark red wool, crimson wool, and twisted linen. The gold was beaten into thin sheets and cut in fine threads. See, they beat it out and they had some way to cut it in very fine threads. Attachlet's sky blue color, said by the Talmud to resemble indigo, MBT, Menashot 42b. That's where if you went to Talmud, that's how you find what that was a dye obtained from an aquatic invertebrate known as chelazon. The exact identification of this animal and the method used to produce the dye is subject of extensive research. While various attempts have been made to conclusively identify the chelazon, most recently has been classified as a Mediterranean snail known as Murex Turnculius, I guess. Turnculius, I don't know how to pronounce it properly. Dark red color, said by some, more closely resembles purple. That word there, arganum, in Hebrew is also derived from a snail, possibly the murex, again, that Turnculus, whatever it is, as well. According to this theory, the difference in color is a product of the amount of time this substance is exposed to sunlight. And there shows a picture of that shell, or where it comes from, the snail shell, where it comes from. Somehow they knew how to get the colors out of it. The crimson color is deduced from a worm called, by the Bible, a crimson worm. And it is the Hebrew word tulat at, I can't pronounce it, Shania in Hebrew, a mountain worm which had been identified as Kermes biblicus, I don't know, it's a Coccinelia insect. It's an insect. Where they got it from. The material used in weaving the garments. And here it shows you more about how this was done. You shall make the breastplate of judgment, the work of an artist, after the manner of the ephod you shall make it. Gold, blue sky, dark red, and crimson dyed wool, and of twisted linen shall you make it. And it's Exodus 6 and 15. And there you see a piece that they've made. The Bible instructs that each thread used in the high priest's breastplate ephod must be 28 ply. Each thread is made from 6 threads each of attachlets, sky blue, and argamon, purple, and that word there, crimson, and white twisted linen, and 4 threads of pure gold. There was a lot involved in that, making that thing. A lot. And there you see all that there. Wool dyed with authentic ancient blue dye, attachlet, sky blue. It's there. The argamon, purple, in preparation of weaving of the breastplate garment. In addition to these colors, the breastplate is also made with wool dyed with, I can't pronounce that word, Chennai, tolapat, I guess, crimson, white twisted linen, as well as pure gold. Pure gold. Just go ahead and look up Exodus 28:15 just to see that. Thou shalt make the breastplate of judgment of cunning work. The work of an ephod, thou shalt make it gold, blue, purple, scarlet, fine linen, thou shalt make it. What this judgment is made of. So there you see a piece of fabric. They've actually done it. What it looked like. They've actually made some of it at one point. And over here, wool dyed with the argamon purple dye is spun into thread by use for use in ephod. So they they had some kind of ways to spin it. They knew how to do it. And this here is shown pretty much a modern mock-up. You know, it could have been close what they had, don't know. Crimson colored wool spun and ready to be included in the threaded ephod, which has been dyed with color obtained from the, again, Shaddai and crimson worm and the Armenian cochial insect. And it shows you there. Over 600 meters of thread made of pure gold has been prepared for the weaving of the high priest's breastplate. 600 meters, that would be how long? Any idea? What's 600 meters? Can you look it up? See what it says. It's a lot. 600 meters. That'd be 600 feet. Close.
You want to know in feet?
Yeah, convert 600 meters to feet.
1,968 feet.
Yeah, that's a lot. They were busy. They were busy beavers. A lot. Took that to make the breastplate. 1,000. That's 5,280 feet is a mile. 2,000 is a half a mile. About a quarter mile of give or take of gold. Fine spun gold. 6 attached leads of 6 for pure gold. There we go. Hebrew, which appears here for linen, is sash, I guess, which literally means 6. This indicates each thread is used in these garments is required to be 6 ply thread. So they took 6 of them and bound them together to make a thread. Some of the garments were composed of all 5 ingredients. Some contained 3 or 4, and some contained only 1. Amen. Okay. Production of the garments. And you shall speak to all who are wise-hearted, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom, and they shall make Aaron's garments to consecrate him, that he may minister unto me in the priest office. Besides, from, okay, punch the word out, from the fact that the priestly garments must be made for honor and for beauty. See, it was made for both, honor and beauty. Now, here's a picture of what their weavers looked like in those days, and the machines they had built, they were weaving. It's all done by hand, of course. Let's see here. The above verse also instructs that they must be made with wisdom and understanding, for they must be produced in exact accordance with all the nuances of the Bible requirements. So they were required to be punctilious about how they made these things, exactly. Furthermore, they must be made with a special intention in mind, namely, that they are being created for the sake of God's fulfilling God's commandment. So they were doing it as unto the Lord. The priestly garments are not sewn like other cloths, or even each item is woven, seamless, of one piece. That's what they did. They made these things one piece. There weren't no seams. Remember Jesus, his cloak that the Romans were cast lots for, that was seamless. So they knew how to make that. And of course the coat he had was very valuable, or they wouldn't be casting lots for it. And that's what it was, because he had a coat that was made without seams. They were very expensive in those days. The only exception to this is the sleeves of the robe, which were woven separately and sewn into the robe afterwards. So that's the only part that was. So we'll end there. That's how those 2 chapters go. Well, the garments were made very exact. God expected a very exacting thing. Very exacting. Amen. lot to it, where you put the garments. And of course, you know what garments you're gonna wear? You know what your garments are gonna be?
Wait,
Like what?
linen.
White linen. That's right, it'll be white linen garments.